Hello guys, and this is the next Blender tutorial. Glad to have you with us. Let's get cracking. So today what we're going to look at, well first before we look at today, let's look at what we've done already. So what we've done so far is we've tracked a live action footage. We've also been able to light it up more naturally, as in more realistically, using an HDRI, making our own HDRIs, not going and downloading one. So if you want to know how to 3D track quick as possible successfully, go check out my first tutorial of Wanna Be a VFX Artist. And also if you want to know how to create your own HDRIs with your phone, very quick, done within 5 minutes and very good, and you get an HDRI file, as in an EXR file back, go check out episode 2 of Wanna Be a VFX Artist. We're going to carry on in our scene. Next week we're actually going to look at placing items within our scene, and we're even going to look at compositing. Have you ever wondered in your collections where you see background and foreground and placement? We're going to look at that next week, if not next week, the following week, because we're going to place 3D items within our scene. So actually yes, we'll look at it next week with that. But today what I want to look at is something called Booleans. What is a Boolean? And I think for the common blender blendee, you know, a person that blends often, blendee, a blendee. I've just created a new file. Wanna be a blendee? Okay, before I get too carried away. They know what a Boolean is, right? But I want to show you the power of it because it really it's very powerful. Okay, and I'm going to show you something that I did in my December holidays. So let's jump into Blender, and this over here is a wall, and it looks like it's a hole in the wall. I learned how to use a Boolean to place this. In fact, let me just show you exactly the whole thing that I've created here. So if I'm adding in all my layers together, you will actually see how cool what I've been able to get right just with a Boolean. Going into render mode, and you'll see there's my hole in the wall. All right, just in case you want to see, I even tracked, where's my footage? My footage should be there. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I was even able to play. So this camera, oh wait, there you go. So I was able to do everything that we've done so far. I recorded this, my living room, my lounge if you live in South Africa, and put a hole in it, and then obviously 3D track it to the point that the hole moves along with my wall. And not only that, but I was able to place a kitchen. That's not my kitchen. I wish that was my kitchen because of the sweets and biscuits there. And what happens, okay, but look, I'm not going to get too in depth, but there you go, there's my wall, and my kitchen is behind, and because of the placement of it, I get what's called a parallax effect. So it makes it more realistic. And in one of our future tutorials, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to model something like this, which is a kitchen. Believe it or not, this kitchen came off a single image. But anyway, this is the power of Booleans. You can see the brick layers, the way that I cut this, even the plaster of the wall, the brick layers, and even in between that. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how I did the bricks, but you can use your imagination as to how that happened. And obviously there's compositing here because the rest of my kitchen is cut out, and that is something called a holdout, which we're going to have a look at in our future episodes. But before we get there, right, what exactly is a Boolean for those who don't know what a Boolean is and how do they work? When I first started modeling in general, when I first started really taking modeling quite serious, let's say if you're modeling something like an iPhone, which I did model, and you want to make those little speaker holes, or you know, the holes at the bottom. I literally, now if you know a lot about modeling and getting your topology right, you've got to make sure, because of when you need to unwrap your model, UV editing, when you unwrap your model, the important thing is that when it unwraps, it unwraps correctly. But if you're going to just shove a whole lot of shapes together and it looks right, you're going to battle when it comes to UV unwrapping if you want to apply texture. So I would sit and, I even learned how to create nice holes, the perfect hole. Let's just see if I can do this in a nutshell. I didn't plan this, but how you would do holes correctly is something like this. Okay, so let's do this. So for those who don't know how to create holes, but right, let's select there. I'm going to cursor to selection, so it puts the cursor there. Select these guys over here. This is the correct way to do this. And obviously I'm going to scale along the x-axis. No, I'm going to scale. I actually have to scale along Z and Y. So the way that I can do this, sure, we really are going into, so I can do that. The way to do that is to press S for scale if you don't know. And then obviously you can select one of the axes in which direction you want to scale it. So if I can press Y and it scales in Y, I can press Z and it scales. But I can do Y and Z if I press Shift X. In other words, what you're saying is I want to scale in all axes, but I want to exclude X. So anyway, so there you go. So I would scale like that. Face selection. And extrude X, and I got a hole, but and the reason why this is correct is because to make a hole, okay, I don't want my cube collapsing. Now what I'm talking about here is what's called, I'm sure you've heard of this term or technique, but it's called hard surface modeling. And what it enables you to do, if I put a modifier in this, solidifier, subdivision surface modifier, all right, there you go. So you can see how my edges look a bit more realistic. Okay, let's pump my levels up to maybe about 3. And you can see how nice and smooth it looks. It doesn't look like you can have it this sharp, but in reality, even sharp corners, they just got that little bit of an edge. And obviously, the more closer I take these guys to the edge, the sharper my edge gets. But anyway, that's not the point. So the whole point is that, so there's my hard surface modeling. It looks nice. There's just something about it that just looks very nice. Now with my hole, the problem that I have here is that it's collapsing, so I need to do the same thing. So the way that I've created this hole, it's easy for me to, okay, what I should have actually done is before I extruded it. So see, this is the thing about hard surface. Anyway, look, you can see you've got to really think about the way that you do your model. So what I should have actually done is extrude the same thing and maybe just, scale, exclude Z. Done that, and then exclude to X, and then I could have done the same thing over here before I do anything else. Scale, but to scale, exclude X. Exclude X. There you go. So in other words, what I'm doing is I just put a slight bit of an edge on the sides. Oops. If you don't know how to do edge loops, it's Command R if you're on a Mac, or I suppose Control R if you're on a PC. So alright, I've gone through all of this to show you guys. Hopefully someone has learned something. The birds have, if you can hear the birds outside. And so when I apply my subsurface modifier, and I crank up the port levels, you can see how I've got a beautiful looking hole. Alright, can be a bit more perfect somewhere. But anyway, the point is, see there, you've got a nice hole. You see how I cut it in. If I have to UV unwrap this, it's not going to be a difficult thing. But anyway, so that's the way it was done. Now, with Booleans, the beautiful thing is that if I want to do that, and I guess this is where everybody knows how you literally can, so I'm going to rotate this Y 90 degrees, grab it in the X, scale it down a bit. I can get this circle to cut out the hole that I want, and all I do is in my modifier, there's a Boolean modifier. I'm going to select the objects, and if I hide my cylinder now, there is my circle. Beautiful. And what I can even do is I can apply it, and it's done. I can delete that cylinder, and there it is. Look at that. Look how Blende has even done it beautifully for you. So that is the awesomeness about Booleans. And so what I did was that to create my hole in the wall, okay, you can see there's my kitchen, by the way, and my lounge, my HDRIs, more on that coming soon. What's important for me is that I show you how I create this wall, and this won't take long. I think what I've showed you already is the first most difficult part of the wall. By the way, if you hit tilde key, your tilde key, tilde, I believe it's called, you get these beautiful options over here, quicker ways to show stuff, especially if you're in a Mac. If you've got a trackpad, you don't have those numbers on the side. The one that I love using is view selected. It gets you a bit closer. So in other words, if I specifically select the bricks, hold down tilde, then that's how you get that done quicker. Thank you very much. Alright, so if you learned something, like this video. So something beautiful that you can, the way that you do this is, I basically created, so it's a Boolean that I used to create this. Oh, alright. And I did the same on the back, just a slight variation, and the bricks that I used as well, just by simply, so what I did was that I had created actual bricks. There you go. Alright, create a brick, apply an array modifier, duplicate them, more on that if you want to know, and then I used that as my Boolean object to cut out of my wall. So there's my wall, and what I did is I created this guy over here. This is my displacer. Alright, you can see it's got a whole lot of holes in it and all of that cool stuff. So literally all this is, okay, is it's a cylinder, and I selected this face, I scaled it down, so that's how you get that sort of shape. And then what I did, let me just put this next to it so we can compare. The beautiful thing that you can do, sorry, let's get this in the right place here. Is you can use a modifier called displacement. Deform, displace. And you're able, now what this displacement does is, this is not like a text, a normal map, or a normal map where it displaces, it looks like it's displaced. This really displaces the object. The first important thing to do here, is actually to add on a subsurface modifier, and the reason that being is because, and I'm putting that before the displacement, because you want the displacement to displace your subdivided object, and you already know how how to get this. So you can see right now the subdivision modifier has placed it more like a ball. And I'm going to go into edit mode and Command R to place in some cuts over there just to keep its long shape. Alright, awesome. And then the next thing that I did, so I can push up the sample levels. Then the next thing I did, now a displacement, this displacement modifier, you can basically create, now you can see I created these like cloud textures over here. If you don't know how to do that, you go into your tab on the side here, into your new textures, and I can select already some defaults here, like my clouds, which is basically noise. So there you can already see, oh, I mean, look at that, look how cool that shape looks. That's already my displacement. I mean, I punched in a whole lot of different, you can play around with your settings to see what they do, play around with your depth and all of that stuff to get the kind of shape that you want. And then that is attached to my displacement. With this, the displacement object that I used, I had 3 different displacement objects on it. You can see my subdivide with my displacement, and then of course if I hide this, and to close off this tutorial, what I'm going to do is I am going to scale it, make it bigger. So there you go, there's your hole in the wall. Should I call this tutorial that? Hole in the wall tutorial. Okay, I'm going to grab this guy. Now I think I do need to add, no. Let's just go straight in Boolean, select my object, which is the cylinder, and then you will see that when I hide my cylinder, there it is, there's my hole. Pretty cool. You get a whole lot of different options. The one thing that I did struggle with was that, see, I've got version 3.0.1. At some point they updated this Boolean, and it was pretty recent. It was either 2.9 before 3.0.1, even 3.0, then 3.0, which they got this fast, exact. You can look there, you can even change it that you got the opposite to intersect. There you got union, and obviously I select the difference. So there you go, you can play around. And even if you take your here's my displacement, my cylinder, and I can even duplicate it, scale it up a bit, maybe make it a bit more, so I've got another type of shape in there. And on to my wall, I can add in another displacement, Boolean, in which I can select my other cylinder, hide it, and there you can see how I've got that same shape added in there. You can have a look, play around with it, whatever. See, if I hide this one, oh, right, I knew that. Let's try that again. On my cube, I can add in another Boolean. And I can select the same object. And you can see how, I suppose we need to, you can actually see how it's interacting there. So you can have more than one displacement object in there. So that's the beauty about Booleans, and yes, you can apply it, just you won't be able to alter it again afterwards. And there you go. You can see how Blender has created the geometry for you. I don't know if I would, yeah, and by the way, as you saw, that is without a subdivide modifier. So I can alter this. I can select a whole lot of faces. I can do whatever I want with it. All right, so that's Booleans. All right, so yeah, next week we will be looking at placing your 3D objects within your scene, and we will also look then at your compositing. What am I talking about? If you look here, I've got different layers here: wall, kitchen, background, and I mean, you will even see that in my camera how I've got a layer. Yikes, okay, not all the stuff is showing up here. Anyway, more on that next week. So I will show you how even I've got the one front wall and it's blocking off everything else in the background. So we're going to do some cool compositing and stuff like that. Like this video because I know you liked it. I know you liked it. You're like, oh, okay. And also subscribe to this channel behind the TV, Active TV, to support what we're doing here, guys. And also you'll get notified when our next tutorial will come out. Yes. Or otherwise, just check out the playlist, because the chances are when you're watching this, the other videos could be out already. So see you guys next week. I hope that has blessed you. This blessed me definitely. See you guys then. Cheers.